Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of October. I hope you are well. I'm using the Crow Tarot for you today. So let's have a look and see what's going on with you, Cancer. Can I have 3 cards for Cancer, please? Thank you. Ooh, we have 2 in your recent past. We have the 6 of Pentacles and Judgment. What about current energy, please? Thank you. We have the Ace of Swords. Very nice. And what is coming towards Cancer for October? We have the High Priestess. It's Pisces energy, your sister fire sign, sister water sign. Behave. Right. Said fire because I looked at this 5 of Wands at the bottom of the deck here. And I like this for you because we've got the 5 of Wands at the bottom of the deck there, but the card that we've got underneath it is the 8 of Cups. So the 5 of Wands is a card that deals with strife, and that can be external or it can be internal. But the card that we have sitting beyond that, lie down, Silas, being the 8 of Cups, is one that talks about leaving behind certain emotional baggage, right? And we're all about that, Cancer, leaving behind emotional baggage. Whether or not that's the thing that's leaving you conflicted, or whether that is what you are leaving behind, right? Emotional baggage around some sort of internal conflict remains to be seen. Let's have a look, get some clarifiers out, and we'll dig into this. So, excuse me, tell me about the 6 of Pentacles and Judgment card, please. First card out is the Ace of Wands. Thank you. We have the Hanged Man. Wonderful. One more, please, for the 6 of Pentacles. Thank you. We have the 8 of Cups appearing again. Tell me about the Ace of Swords. We have the 6 of Wands. Wonderful. And the Chariot. There you are, Cancer. And what about this High Priestess? Thank you. We have the Knight of Swords. Gemini energy. We have the 4 of Swords. I like this very much. We've got the Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck here with the 10 of Pentacles. And so there's definite sense of forward momentum happening here, certainly towards the end of the reading. Whereas the beginning seems to be about finding your level, finding your balance. We've got the 6 of Pentacles and the Judgment card here. Now, the Judgment card doesn't have a strict astrological correspondence in the way that I read, but there's something quite scorpionic about it, I think. And it's here with the 6 of Pentacles. Now, the Judgment card can be an energy of things coming up to the surface. And it could well be, given that this is in your recent past and we have just come out of Mercury retrograde, that there have been quite a few things that have come up, whether they are actual situations that are in front of you, or energies that have come up within you, emotions that have come up within you, anything that's come up that has required some sort of tidying up, right? Some sort of completion, some sort of letting something go. With the 6 of Pentacles here, it feels like it's brought something into balance. Now, this can be also your decision-making processes, and perhaps it is that you've made some big decisions during Mercury retrograde, not yet acted on them at this point, but certainly made those big decisions. But it can also indeed be your judgment itself. Because the whole thrust of this reading seems to be coming towards a state of clarity on a number of things that perhaps you might have been conflicted on up until this point. The cards that you've got clarifying here: Ace of Wands, the Hanged Man, the 8 of Cups. Like, these are all cards of either coming to the new, right, and a new way of living, a new way of doing things. We've got the Hanged Man, which is very much about it can be about submission and sacrifice, but it certainly talks about change in perspective. And then we've got this 8 of Cups, leaving behind the emotional baggage. Now, when you combine these with these cards here, I feel like there's been a series of gentle revelations that have come to you during the retrograde period. And now the way forward does seem to be clearer than it was before. I mean, in some ways, perhaps it's the emotional baggage that you've realised the thing that's holding you back, the thing that has been holding you back, you know? It's interesting how these three cards sort of carry across from each other, right? Let me just flip your vision for a second here so that you can see what I'm seeing, right? So just look at these three cards here. We've got the upright of the wand, right? And that's the pure potential. That's living differently. That's creativity and passion, right? And then we have this character here who is nailed to a similar sort of thing, right? It's got a T-post across the top, but like he's here. But then what carries across from this card to this card is the red, right? We see that very clearly. And also, you know, these states of illumination here. It's like the idea occurring to you how you could do things differently, realizing the only thing that's been standing between you and actual movement, because this is the potential, but this is it actually happening, has been you. And so getting yourself down off the tree, taking this, you know, brainwave, epiphany, whatever's happened here, and then letting it be up in the sky to guide your way forwards, seems to be the process that's been ongoing here. Now, the Six of Pentacles and the Judgment card then feel like a very clear stabilization of energy, stabilization of thought. It's all the things coming together to make a picture that you couldn't see because you were too close to it before, but now you do see it. It feels like it's much easier to move forwards than you thought it ever could be. You know, like, again, we've got that Five of Wands there, and we've got the Eight of Cups underneath, and it's just like, why was I so conflicted about it? Why did I see it as such an issue? You know, sometimes the energy of the Hanged Man, like I said, it can talk to submission and sacrifice, and I spent a bit of time with a few signs last month, and forgive me, I cannot remember if you were one of them, sort of talking about this idea of things feeling like a big sacrifice at the time when we are called to make them, but at the point where we've made them, like we've taken this big step forward and we've sacrificed this huge thing, and maybe we might be feeling a little bit wounded and tender about it. As time progresses, we realise that we haven't actually really lost anything. And maybe the thing that we sacrificed that felt like a big sacrifice at that point actually wasn't really for us anyway. It didn't really hold anything that was important for us. And so walking away from that with your head held up high, you know, using your legs, it feels very empowering. Now, whether this is equating to an actual move away from something in your 3D environment remains to be seen. Like I said, we have potential here with the Ace of Wands. We have actually quite static energy with the Hanged Man, and the movement only starts to happen as we get to the Eight of Cups. Because it's an Eight of Cups, it's an emotional shift. It doesn't necessarily need to be reflected by the external world at this point. But when we come to your current energy, we have the Ace of Swords. And I like the fact that this is here because it feels like everything that has come before has been a clearing of the decks. Now here is some clarity of thought. Here new ideas are coming through. And, you know, maybe there's even a recognition for you, Cancer, that you're actually winning. More than you thought you were. That was a terribly constructed sentence. I do apologise for that. But I'm sure you get my gist, right? That actually there is much in your life to be grateful for that you did not see before. But I feel intuitively that it's actually more about the direction of travel from here on out, right? The decks have been cleared, space has been created, and now what was kind of fuzzy and what felt kind of hard now seems quite straightforward. And more than that, victory, success, the end destination, you know, wherever it is on this leg of the journey that you happen to be on and where it is that you're trying to go, seems to be much more accessible. You know, we've got the Six of Wands and the Chariot card coming out together there, which is an interesting combination because both of those cards talk about victory. The Six of Wands I feel, is a victory that has already occurred, right? That sense of feeling like you're winning. The Chariot card is about the victory that comes from having done all of the groundwork first, getting everything into balance, and I'll bring you back to the Six of Pentacles that we had there, bringing everything into alignment and knowing that when it's time for you to go, you will get to where you want to be. I mean, maybe there's a bit of faith and trust in yourself that is returning at this time, you know. But because the Chariot is also the card of Cancer, what we've got is some sort of real breakthrough in terms of authenticity, right? What it is that you actually want to achieve and how possibly you're going to go about it. You know, it might have been, you know, that self-sabotage is something that's been plaguing you for quite a long time. And, you know, it's like that old saying, you know, whether you believe you can do it or whether you believe you can't, you're right in both instances. And I feel like you've been... maybe that's part of the revelation that you've had now, is that not only have you been standing in your own way, but the only person really who was telling you that you couldn't do it was you. Now, the only person that you should have been really listening to at any point anyway was you. And now that the vista is kind of opening up in front of you and the way seems much more clear, there's almost there's definitely a sense of strength and empowerment, but there's almost a slight bafflement that it took you so long to come to this conclusion. I want to pull another deck out. Which deck do I want? I think I want, the Triple Goddess, because I just want to dig into that a little bit more, particularly because we've got these themes of balance going on here. And I mean, if all of this is resonating with you, then you've absolutely used the Mercury retrograde energy as it was meant to be used. And there's the things that have been tied up. Maybe it's the thing you needed to be tied up just for a second, so you stayed still long enough for the information to come to the surface. Yeah. Sometimes I think it's like that when our subconscious is talking to us. Sometimes we just need to be still, and that's why meditation is so great. We just need to be still for long enough for these things to blop up to the surface. And it doesn't have to happen in meditation. I've had it happen in yoga, particularly in, there was a brand of yoga called Forest Yoga that I did a few years ago. Some of you will know about that. I've talked about it before. That was one instance of it. But even getting tattooed, same thing. It's that stillness. And when your conscious mind is occupied doing something else that doesn't require a lot of brain power, just a bit of focus, sometimes it just pops open a door to your subconscious, and the things that come kind of scampering through can be quite baffling. Tell me if there's a Chariot card here. We have the Magician and we have Strength, and so I feel like exactly what I've just been saying is true here for you. I mean, look at all the green on both of those cards, and the green is the colour of healing. And what has been healed in you is this notion that you aren't strong, or you can't do a thing, or you're not capable of doing anything. I mean, the fact that the Magician and the Strength card are here together is an indication that you've switched from believing that you can't to believing that you can. And really, that is only the only thing that needed to shift with you, Cancer, because you are capable, you are strong, you're all of these things that you've told yourself that you're not for a long time. And, you know, if you want to get into digging into why that might be the case, I mean, have a watch of the Solveig Coagula videos that I did at the end of last year about the shadow and the creation of the shadow and why it is important to make friends with it. Because we're very much in shadow territory here. Now, the other thing that's quite interesting is that the Chariot card for me actually has ended up being the card of shadow work. It depends on the other cards that are coming around it, but this idea of bringing these two polarities, these two extremes, into a sense of balance. And then you have the Charioteer, who is that point of integration between the two, the one who's actually directing proceedings, and we've got everything being held in alignment. It's like the ability to be able to succeed at life is much increased when everything's just where it should be, and nothing is hidden, and nothing is nothing emotionally is acting like concrete boots around your feet, you know? This feels like it's a hell of a revelation to you, Cancer. And I think what's changed is that you've stopped waiting for other people to either give you permission to do something or tell you that you can do something, right? It's like your point of focus has shifted away from the validation or the confirmation that you need from other people, maybe even a need for some sort of support from other people, and it's much more authentically coming from you at this point. And it feels like everything's opening up as a result. And when we move into what's coming towards you in October, we've got the High Priestess. It's another Pisces card. I wonder if Neptune is doing something funky to your sign. I know there's some sort of transit going on with Neptune, and it does seem to be hitting around about October time, I think. It's possibly something to do with that. But we've got the Knight of Swords and the Four of Swords here, and I just love to see these. We've got the High Priestess, which is a very passive card, almost as passive as the Hanged Man, but not quite, right? But very, very passive. We've got the Four of Swords, which is also a card of some level of passivity. But we've also got the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords is completely opposite to anything even slightly restful or peaceful. It's Gemini energy, and it talks about a lot of things going on mentally, but the thing that I like about this is that there's incredible mental energy, but it is coupled with a sense of peace. Now, with this High Priestess, I feel like I've said for you a couple of times over the last few months that your psychic abilities and your emotional awareness, your intuitions, they all seem to be sparking off pretty hard at the moment, and that you are being guided by what is going on in here far, far more than anything outside of you at the moment. But I love the fact that we've got this Ace of Swords, and then we've got the Knight of Swords, and we've got these cards of victories. It's like October is an ideas month for you. So it's not about trying to deal with the things that have held you back for so long, because you've already dealt with those. This month it's all about expanding into wherever your intuition is telling you to go at this point. How about this Knight of Swords? Knight of Swords, please. We've got the Knight of Cups and we've got the Ten of Cups. Right. Now, I think in a healthy reading for you, there's always going to be quite a few cups. You're a water sign, right? It's you leaning into your element. But I like the fact that it's combined with swords and it's combined with wands. I mean, aside from that Six of Pentacles and the pentacle that we see on the Magician card and the High Priestess, there isn't really much in the way of the 3D material things. Now, it's not to say that I don't think that you're focused on those things at the moment, because they may well be forming part of part of the plan moving forwards, whatever that is for you. But there's a definite sense that what you're leaning into is what feels good. What you're leaning into is the things that make you feel like you can feel without apology, you know. The Knight of Cups is a slower moving card than the Knight of Swords, but we've got a lot of mental energy, and it's backed up with a lot of emotional energy as well, and it all seems very, very positive. We've got the Ten of Cups at the bottom of the deck here. That's a collective, you know, it's more than you. It can be family, it can be your friendship group, it can be it can be your tribe, whatever that is. But there feels to me a bit more of a sense of leading the way coming in for you, Cancer. Almost like you are at the forefront of whatever it is that you're dealing with this month that isn't just about you. there's been such a change in you, there's been such a shift in you, and you do seem to be really stepping up at this point. But everything's intuitive first, and then the ideas are coming, right? The peaceful mental energy comes after. It's right, problem solving. How do I deal with this thing? But none of it's feeling frantic. None of it's feeling frightened. It's very purposeful. And then we've got this Knight of Cups, and we've got the Ten of Cups here. It's just seems to be like you're at the front of everything. So maybe you're taking care of people this month, right? Maybe you're sorting out problems for people this month, possibly. But whatever way it manifests for you, what I'm feeling behind it is this sense of not only just coming back to yourself, and I mean that's a huge thing in and of itself, but with everything that you're doing this month, it seems to be feeding into this feedback loop of empowerment. Rather than before, because we all have feedback loops, right? And sometimes we get absolutely stuck in ruts with things. And it's like everything that happens confirms for us that we're a piece of shit and everything's terrible, and why do we even bother, right? I'm sure we've all experienced periods of our life where that's happened. But quite the opposite seems to be happening here for you. So like everything that you're doing is confirming for you that you are strong, that you are powerful, that you can actually affect any sort of change that you want to in your life. And I don't know if this is going to be a consistent thing that's going to hold true for you for the rest of the month, but rest of the year rather. But certainly for this month, you seem to be able to. It's seeming almost effortless for you to be in the front of everything, initiating things, making contact with people. Lots of important conversations going on for you this month here. And a lot of those are going to spark off new ideas about where you're going forwards. And it's not like I feel like you're kind of elbowing your way to the front and being all like, right, I'm in charge. It feels more like the way is just parting because you are the one with the ideas. You're the one with the good communication this month. And it's really interesting. Wow. Because we've got the Empress, beg your pardon, underneath this Eight of Wands at the bottom of the deck here. It seems like the space that you've created is exactly equal, obviously, to what it is that is coming in for you, where you are taking yourself. But there's definitely a leadership vibe that I'm getting off all of this. So maybe you're just the person who's sorting out all the problems this month. Possibly it is, but rather than feeling resentful about it or being like, oh, fuck's sake, why can't people do these themselves? It's like, no, it's good. And you're enjoying doing that. You're actually enjoying, I think, in some ways being seen to be the person who is doing that. But whenever I get a reading where it's got this kind of energy going on for it, it's like it's laying the foundations for something that's coming in the next few months that currently is not visible. But when you look back at this period in a few months' time, you're going to see that actually what you were doing was making sure that you fitted all of the necessary preconditions for this thing to occur. Very interesting. Right, so I'm going to go over to Vimeo now, and we're going to have a look at October specifically, see what you need to know, see what might be popping up. Maybe let's have a cheeky peek into November. We'll see how we go. So if you would like to join me over there, the link is in the description box as ever. You could come and join my Patreon community also if you felt like it. The link for that is also down in the description box. But if not, like, props to you, Cancer. You know, you've done really, really well here. But more than that, you are going to do really, really well. I mean, just maintain your patience, which I don't think is a trial for you at all this month. And just keep doing what you're doing, right? And allow that positive feedback loop to just start doing its thing, because this is definitely going somewhere. Right. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.